Thaddeus, are you with us tonight?
You see his picture?
Yep.
Lockhouse 25 was built to house, of course, the lockmaster and his family that maintained the locks. Well, it turns out that after 18 years of dedicated service to the canal company, Mr. Ogg just disappeared. Just no sign of him. Left. Gone. I'm Tommy Griffiths. I host the Big Morning Show on Big 100.3 here in Washington, D.C., and thanks to the good graces of AdventureMyths and our good friends at Shenandoah Shadows, I've been invited on my first paranormal investigation.
Smokey Milton Nicholson told us that, in a lot of the national park area, anywhere you'd see a big pile of tulips or daffodils, it was daffodils, right? It marked a grave. So while I'm filming here at Lockhouse 25, I'm sitting up here on this, looks like an old tank or an old well over here, and I look back over here in the corner, and here's what I believe is a grave marker. So let's go check it out.
This was built in 1830, and right here is the actual canal, where boats would be pulled by mules along canal paths to bring goods north and south. Eventually, this became a point of contention during the Civil War. The South, on the other side of the Potomac River, which you can see over on that side, the North maintained this side and maintained the canal. Quite often during the Civil War, Confederate sharpshooters would pick off Union personnel who were here just to maintain the canal. Can you imagine you're ordered to go to the canal to, say, remove some debris, and you know that there's a sniper on the other side of the river ready to pick off anything that's wearing blue? Well, that actually happened, so several people were killed that way. Before that, when the canals were built prior to 1830, there were several deaths. Many were slaves. These canals were built with the sweat on the brow of the slave, and sadly, many of these people died as well during the building of the canal. And next door to the Lockhouse was a general store, and legend has it that the owner of the store hung himself. I'm not sure during which year of the Civil War that was, but some speculated there was some economic depression or even emotional depression. Something got to this guy. We're not quite sure what. Interestingly, in 1830, when Lockhouse 25 opened up, it was run by a lockmaster named Asa Aud. His last name spelled A-U-D. And he seemed pretty dedicated to his job. For 18 years, he lived in this house and maintained the canal and the lock and the stretch of canal up and down. And one day, he just disappeared. It was not infrequent that a lockmaster would just disappear. The canal company would just replace them. But after 18 years of servitude to the canal company, he just up and left.
Lockhouse 25, built in 1830, interprets the story of the C&O Canal and the town that surrounded Edwards Ferry during the Civil War. The Lockhouse, and the ruins of Jarbo's store are set next to the Edwards Ferry boat ramp, which looks across the Potomac to Virginia. The Lockhouse has been restored to its original setting and possibly harbors the spirits who once dwelled here. No electricity or running water, the house is true to its era and speaks to a time long ago forgotten. The Lockhouse is conveniently located 4.5 miles from the town of Poolesville, Maryland, providing access to groceries and supplies, as well as additional historic discoveries. As the sun set, the investigators unpacked highly advanced digital gear and strategically positioned static cameras around the historic property. These unmanned cameras may document paranormal activity.
It's now 8 o'clock. We're here at the Lockhouse, and we're getting ready to go inside. We got everything set up and getting ready to show you the different areas where we have different electronic devices set up to try to capture any type of paranormal activity in this Lockhouse. So come on inside, and we're going to check that stuff out, and then we're going to actually lock the doors, lock all the equipment up inside, and leave it for 2 hours. No one will have access to this Lockhouse while we're gone. Here, every corner in this location, in this house, has some type of camera equipment, and we can capture every nook and cranny. It picks up motion as soon as you come around the corner. We've got video cameras focused in on motion detectors all through here. So if something happens to walk through or walk by, it's going to set these detectors off. Got a motion detector over here. Anytime you get close to this device, it picks up and gives you a reading, okay? We've got a camera sitting up right here that will actually record anything that moves through here and sets these motion detectors off. So this room is pretty much covered. The living room, if you will, got a lot of our gear still laid around in here. We've got cameras almost in every corner. We've got a zoom recorder over here going. Got another static cam sitting over here, motion detector down here. This is a custom rig by Shenandoah Shadows. It's a high-speed night vision camera, still camera, that will pick up and will actually do photographs at 100 frames per second.
We have one room set up in here. We have a camera sitting on a chair, nice static camera, pointing at the front of the bed in the corner. And that should pick up any activity. If anything sits on that bed or anything bypasses and looks like it's going to bed, it'll be sitting there.
Okay, now you've kind of got an idea of the layout of this lockhouse. It's true to form, it's true to period. There's no electricity, there's nothing that's going to interrupt our EMF detectors, our equipment, no frequency waves coming through. Got the house locked up. As you can see right here, nobody's getting in this door, okay? This one's locked. There's no other way in this house, okay, except for downstairs the way we came in. We're getting ready to leave now. We're gonna padlock that, and nobody's getting in this house for the next few hours. And that pretty much, I believe, will hold true to credibility if we capture something on camera. So let's take off and get out of here.
Sparing no expense, more state-of-the-art technology, including high-speed cameras that capture images at up to 100 frames per second, and ultrasonic motion detectors are arranged to ensure that the slightest activity of paranormal energy is substantiated.
It's locked up. We'll be back in a few hours.
Before the investigation begins, investigators learn of a nearby horse farm that was built near two Civil War sites, a military hospital and a slave cemetery.
Slave cemetery and a Civil War hospital, all in one area. Yes. A lot of suffering certainly went on in here. There's a lot of emotion, I'm sure. Let's go find out what's around.
Very well.
Were you a Civil War soldier?
We can start from the top.
Okay, where we're standing right here is where the Civil War hospital was. And then there was another house that was like right next to it, and all of the remains are the there's two chimneys over there.
Trevor, if you can hear us, if that's your name, say yes.
Yep. Wow.
Yep.
You said yeah.
Whoa. Are you buried here, Trevor? Did you die here?
Are you following us? War?
That's something, I couldn't make it out.
Were you in the war?
Oh, war. Were you a soldier? Were you at this hospital?
Basement? It's the same voice, too.
Yeah.
Were you hiding in a basement?
Tell us about the basement.
Was it part of the Underground Railroad?
While the team was off exploring the Civil War sites, John Rossi, founder of Shenandoah Shadows, caught a glimpse of what he thought to be a dark apparition of a man.
And I saw someone standing next to your camera there, and I was trying to figure out who it was, and they were rather tall, and for a moment I thought it was Joel, and then it didn't make sense because Joel was to my right, and then the figure just like blanked out. And all I saw was it was just a dark silhouette. You know, there was no real detail other than, you know, arms and head and everything. But it was just all dark. It was there for a few moments, and it seemed to be looking at the camera, and then it just simply wasn't there.
The investigators unlocked the house to conduct an EVP session in the living room. EVP, or electronic voice phenomena, is a common method used to digitally record spirit voices that are inaudible to the human ear. On the wall was a picture of Thaddeus Lowe, inventor of a reconnaissance balloon used to spy on rebel troops during the Civil War. Thaddeus Lowe spent several years experimenting with his balloons around the Lockhouse. Shortly into the EVP session, Frank asked for any spirits present to identify themselves. Listen as the name Thaddeus is uttered in the recording.
Are there any spirits present with us tonight?
Did it just say one?
1, 2, and 3. Remember 3 afterwards?
1, 2, 3.
Can you tell us your name? Holy, I swear to God. Thaddeus.
Is this the voice of Thaddeus Lowe, making his presence known?
I swear, was that you? Tell me your name.
Thaddeus Lowe?
Holy.
Thaddeus, if that's you, light the light up
5 of
over
12.
on the shelf. Straight across from me.
11:55, remember that mark.
Later, 2 hours of static camera footage from the locked and secured house was reviewed and shocked the investigators. At 9:42, a pyramid ultrasonic sensor aimed at a wall was triggered by an unseen entity, and then triggered 2 more times. Whether it's the spirit of the old Lockhouse keeper Asa Ode, who vanished more than 160 years ago, still lingering in his longtime home, or the ghostly energy of Thaddeus Lowe wandering the property, we can't be sure. But we do know this: there is evidence of an unearthly spirit energy in Lockhouse 25.
Wow, that door just slammed.
It was near the end of the night, right? About 12:30 at night?
Yeah, it's probably about 12:31.
And we heard what sounded like a report, a rifle shot, but there was something different about it.
Yeah, it was clearly a gunshot, but the frequency was like a lower frequency. It didn't have the high crack that you normally associate with a modern weapon. And we kind of like, well, actually that sounded like a black powder report.
Definitely sounded like black powder.
And then,
What was it, about 5 minutes or 3 minutes later or something?
yeah,
We were big.
Well, we're talking about how, you know, it sounded like it might have been a musket round, and all of a sudden we heard this boom.
Big boom. Sounded like